So, our first three items actually, for 1, 2, and 3 is approving the minutes for June 26th, July 3rd, and July 10th.
So moved. Second?
Mr. Claypool?
Yep.
Mr. Lundey?
Yes.
Mr. Spudler?
Aye. And Dave?
Yes, on, let's see, item number 4, I approved things on your behalf on July 11th and July 16th. On July 11th, for Department of Water Resources, accept the resignation of Eric Peck, operator number 2, job number 2313, to be effective July 31st, 2018. And then yesterday, July 16th, on behalf of Water Resources, I accepted reluctantly the resignation of Laura Weber, sanitary engineer, to be effective August 24th, 2018. For the commissioners, I acknowledge receipts from the employees at the County Pleasant Hill home regarding the notice of abolishment and layoff. And there was a liquor license document that came in, and on behalf of you, this office has concurred with Munson Township trustees in not requesting a hearing on the liquor license requested by ARECO Golf Club, LLC, DBA the Mayfield Sandwich Golf Club and Clubhouse Complex located at 12150 Mayfield Road, Chardon. Permit number is CTRFO 025-8173-0005.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing, Adrian?
Pretty good, and yourself?
Good.
Awesome. So today's financials include an appropriations transfer from the commissioners to the coroner's office for reimbursements deposited into the general fund, cash transfer from various funds including the general fund to pay the June 2018 Windstream bill, cash transfer from JFS to Family First Council for their first quarter special fiscal year 2019 commitment. Have several travel encumbrances here, one from the Department of Development Building Department to attend the 2018 Ohio Statewide Floodplain Management Conference in Columbus, travel encumbrance from the Commissioner's Office to attend the Ohio County Loss Control Coordinators Association Annual Summer Conference in London, Ohio, travel encumbrances from JFS to attend the annual National Foster Care Conference in San Antonio, Texas, and also a travel encumbrance from the Maintenance Department to attend training from Southern Folger Tech in San Antonio, Texas. Among the vouchers today is $10,059.50 from ADP to Logos Communications Incorporated for software licenses for Geauga County's enterprise wireless access points, their operation and control software. $23,062.50 from the auditor to the state of Ohio for the county's 2017 financial audit. $147,309 from the engineer's office to Grade Line Incorporated for the Bundysburg Road drainage improvements, and $143,937.25 from the juvenile court to Portage Geauga County Juvenile Detention Center for the third quarter cost sharing. And finally, $49,845.88 from the Sheriff's Office to PAR Public Safety Equipment to upfit 7 marked Ford SUV vehicles.
Just a quick question. The cash transfers with various funds, including general fund,
Right.
for the Windstream. Now, is that all the different departments and other offices?
Correct.
Everybody's pitching in for that one?
Yeah,
bill?
everybody that uses that Windstream line pays a
Okay.
certain amount,
Okay.
and then whatever the delta is between those fixed costs and what the actual bill is, the general fund picks that part up. This is part of what maintenance is going to be transitioning to the ADP board.
Okay.
Eventually here, once they get everything figured out. And,
How do you break it down? You know, I mean, is it split?
we don't do it here. Actually, the maintenance department does it.
Okay.
And they've been following a similar formula for some time now. So
Okay.
that
Okay.
it's probably outdated, and that's part of what they're
Okay.
trying to figure out as they go through everything.
Isn't that something that Windstream could help us with?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I would imagine ADP is working with Windstream and probably Time Warner and all the different AT&T, all the phone companies that we have phone lines with to try and figure out what we need and what we
I would imagine it probably hasn't been looked at in a long time as far as what's needed and what's being used and what maybe we can eliminate.
Looks like those FX lines that we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the other example.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to get, trying to reevaluate this and get the departments that are in charge of those lines paying the bills so that they see those and they know what we're paying for. And
Absolutely.
because right now we have ADP who's kind of in charge of them and maintenance that's paying them, so there's a disconnect there.
Okay.
But I think from an allocation standpoint, Windstream could help to divide it up into the departments, because they know what numbers are where's.
Exactly, yeah.
I have a question too on the auditor expense, $23,000. Is that for the audit that we do? Is that
Yes.
a payment towards
It's a
that?
partial payment.
Yeah, the total purchase order was about $86,000 for the whole audit, and I think this is probably the third or fourth bill that we've gotten from the state for that, so.
For worthless, I mean, our, it's,
Well, it gives, 86,000 gives us a good number to see if there's something different we want to do in the future as far as maybe a more comprehensive audit of some kind.
I think a controls audit would be an appropriate thing to do, but that would cost us more money. Okay, cool.
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute Resolution 1889, itemizing the financials for the meeting of July 17, 2018.
Second?
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning. Nick.
This is Tim.
Okay.
Item 6 on the agenda is the engineer's office is requesting the board authorize Mr. Lennon to sign the OPWC grant for the replacement of the Haskins Road Bridge replacement. It's a match of $75,000, 50% match.
Okay.
I don't think so. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Item 7 is requesting the board award the bid to Eclipse Company LLC for the replacement of the Haskins Road Bridge project in Bainbridge Township in the amount of $205,420. As they represented the lowest and best. The engineer's estimate was $200,000.
Second.
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Thank you.
Before you leave,
Okay.
are we gonna have that conversation about that dam also?
No, that's actually water resource. I don't know if you were involved
But I
in
mean,
that.
do you know anything about that, Nick?
I know a little bit, probably Jerry, Laura, and know a little bit more, and
More?
Joe.
Okay,
So,
all right.
but
Laura's.
Laura's waiting.
I just was gonna see if you, on the engineer's side, if you had some information too.
I know that I believe there was some recommendations, given to Water Resources from Joe, and I'm not sure where that was from there, so I
Okay.
haven't had any further conversation with Joe regarding that, so.
All right, sounds good, thank you.
I can dig into it when he gets back from his
Okay.
vacation too.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yep.
And Jessica. Good morning.
All right.
So I'm here today to request an additional position at the Department on Aging for a full-time adult day service aide with all the summer help that we've had this summer through JFS. We're fully staffed, and it's kind of made the staff realize that anytime someone takes a vacation day or is sick, they have to pull one of our other staff members. So this is the first time that we haven't had to do that. And they said just really for the ratio, we do a 1-to-6 ratio per Alzheimer's clients to staff. Just to have one more person gives you that cushion so you're never short on staff. And we do run into shortage and pulling people, even like my assistant director or myself, to sit with clients, which really isn't cost effective. We'd rather
It's
just
kind
have
of succession planning as well, because there's a couple of people in there that.
we are getting some, there could be some retirements coming up and some changes coming up within some of the rec staff, so it's also some forward thinking as well.
Yeah. And then they could also help out with other things too, if in between, so that's good, yeah. Okay, if we could, yep, that sounds good.
The Department on Aging is requesting the Board approve the revised organizational chart to include a position of full-time adult day service age number 1008 to be effective July 17, 2018. The Department on Aging is requesting the Board grant permission to advertise internally for the position of full-time adult day service aide number 1008 with applications accepted from July 18, 2018 through July 22, 2018.
Second.
Commissioner Claypool?
Yes.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
I,
While I'm here, did you have any questions about the county home? I've been trying to get you all some updates as things have been progressing.
No, I
but
think
didn't
you're doing
know
a
if you
great
had any
job.
questions at this time.
Yeah, I think things are pretty clear, you're moving along nicely, and I want to commend you for good work.
Thank you.
I mean, you and your staff, it's not just you.
Yeah, the
but
team
you
is great.
Doing a great job.
It's winding down, it's winding down, and just trying to make plans for all the cleaning of the building and sanitizing.
yeah, I'd actually gotten a call yesterday, someone had called a family member of one of them and said, how appreciative he was with, with everything, and the biggest thing was the quality of care that's improved, is like day and night. He says, and that he goes, then never realized that, to the level of care that was really actually needed, and just something that we couldn't, so the quality of life just really went up.
And the staff are wonderful at the county home,
Yeah.
they are wonderful, but, if someone's on oxygen, you might need to be around a nurse 24 hours a
Yeah.
day, and to have that reassurance and not go to the hospital
Yeah.
as frequently, I think that's helpful.
Yeah, so it was a really, really good call, and I was glad to hear it, so.
Yeah, it's tough for the folks, but I think that, we're making the best out of a difficult
Yeah.
transition, so.
All right, thank you. And then is Linda here?
No. Yeah, Claire is actually, she's the senior person out at Archives, and she was taking some vacation, looking at the balances. And we actually have to have you guys approve up to 30 hours of unpaid leave to cover, because she's gone a little bit over our allocation. So
Okay.
that would be covered.
So do we have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier?
Good morning.
Coordinate this color of shirt, or what?
Oh, that's the yeah.
uniform. Just like the uniform
You got
over
the,
there now?
you got the email, huh?
Cleaning up our act over there.
It's about time, I'll tell you
Wow,
what, Dave.
cracking the whip.
Yeah.
Wow. I tell her, he's such a hard
Changing things
charger.
up over there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, who is driving who here? How about cracking the whip on Dave, right? That's right.
Got a haircut.
How could you tell?
Cut and color, actually.
I keep doing the same thing, trying to get this dark out. It's just,
We are here today to get permission to advertise for bids for the Berkshire Local School Board Office Accessibility Upgrades Projects, which will be the ADA entryway, ramp, and doorway, and some ADA upgrades on the restrooms in the building as well.
So what's the value of this?
It's about $49,000.
About 50 grand?
Yeah.
And what are we gonna be doing for 50 grand?
We are going to be doing the ADA entryway, so we'll be demolishing the steps that are going into the building and putting in a ramp, a concrete ramp, and making the doorway ADA accessible, and also making the restrooms ADA accessible, which isn't a complete rehaul of the bathrooms. We're going to put in, take out ADA non-accessible toilets and bars, and put in, we're not like tearing down walls, nothing like that.
So, with the Berkshire School levy and everything that passed, this is gonna be for the board office?
Yes, the actual board.
Now, is that
office.
gonna change with the,
It shouldn't, not that I'm aware of, and it is also, we have to remember, that's a voting location for the county. So
Okay.
we need to accommodate our seniors as
Okay.
well at the voting location.
If we build a new school, though, that's all gonna change. The voting location will probably change.
I'm not sure on
I
that.
don't know. Remember, this is right across the Patterson Center on the fairgrounds.
right, right.
It's a good location. I don't know if they, I don't know.
Do
I
they,
hadn't heard
do
anybody-
they rent that building from us, or?
No, they own that building. The history of that building, it was placed there because they were setting up to do an agricultural vocational facility for the Berkshire School District. And then over time, things changed, and that, the building ceased to be used for that purpose. And the board at the time had a need for the building, and they paid to put that structure there, even though it's on the county's property.
I
It's
see.
there, yeah.
I mean, I guess my only question would be, before we move forward, putting money into something that potentially, for the, foreseeable future, where it looks like we'll continue, Berkshire School will continue to use that, but maybe not. I don't know, maybe that's a question that should be asked. if that'll change with their situation with the,
Well, yeah, we get a clarification from the superintendent that, you know, that there isn't any plans as far as this major project that they're doing that it would affect the location of the board office.
And they,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, relative to, and this is where my head was going to, and I didn't have the fortitude to speak up, but, you know, we're putting $50,000 into a building that is, for ADA complaints, it's not really gonna be necessary in the future. I mean, if it's $50,000 for 2 years, it doesn't seem like it makes sense. If it's $50,000 and we're gonna be, you know, using it on an ongoing basis, okay, fine. But it seems like it may be better spent elsewhere. We've got other ADA probably upgrades we can apply the money to. So it's a good question.
Yeah, I'm not trying to throw a wrench in this or anything, but it's just, it'd be something to,
Good to double check.
yeah, you know, I don't know what their plans are with that new building, if they're gonna incorporate this, or if they would, you know, maybe they'll stay there for the foreseeable future, I don't know. But if we could look into it, that'd be great.
Should we set it aside today, or is this the first of multiple steps, right? Okay, so if we approved it today, we still have the opportunity to set it aside.
yes, we can rescind it if we get the answer
Yeah.
we don't want to hear.
I'm comfortable with that,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So
So
do we
moved.
have a motion then?
So moved.
Second,
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
yes.
Just vote
I-
aye.
Thank
Thought it was
Thank
gonna be
you.
easy today, but.
Yeah.
I will find that out right away this morning.
Okay,
Somebody
thanks.
took our rubber stamps away from us today, so we could.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Morning, Mark.
Good morning.
I pulled up all the data information.
Oh,
All the
good.
data
Okay.
information, thank you.
Yeah.
And of course, that had to go around on Friday the 13th. So
Oh, is it? Yeah,
that's when
yeah.
I got the email, you know.
Yeah, we're sorry to see you go, boy, but we understand it's a good move, I'm sure, for you, but yeah, we appreciate
It's tough, because
your time here.
Yeah, to have somebody,
Yeah.
since we're still working.
Plus, I mean, we really appreciate you taking the time to give us the extra time too, so that's been a big plus, so.
Yeah, that was part of,
Yeah,
wanting
yeah.
to have enough time.
Yeah, we thank you for your class in that, for sure. So the first
The
project,
first item is, it's change order number 2, and that's for our Bainbridge trunk line project. It's for the pump station controls. When we originally spec'd out the pump station, it did not include these safety features on it was a dead front panel, and I was not understanding exactly what that was either. And I kind of got a tutorial from our operators. It's for whenever the operators are out and non-electricians, it's an extra protective mechanism for them. And it works better interface with our mission control, which is our SCADA system, which monitors all the pump stations and plants. So that will be in the amount of $179 added to the contract.
okay. So we have a motion, okay?
Second?
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Yes.
And then our second item is for the OPWC loan grant agreement to have Skip sign off and execute that agreement. It's in the form of $1 million total.
Okay.
And it was a breakdown, I think, of $700,000 loan, $300,000 grant for that project. So we were thankful to get some grant. We're still trying to obtain more grant funding for that project from USDA, if possible, OWDA.
What are we doing with the sewer system, Chart?
That is the public health nuisance area out by Honey
Oh,
Drive.
gotcha,
Yeah,
right.
it goes by various names, but we just finalized it as the Chardon Township Sewer Project.
Yeah, I knew it
Yeah.
differently. All right.
So the final step of the median household income survey is starting for that project as well. I just was in touch with CT Consultants last week. They're going to be doing a door-to-door survey. They did 2 rounds of mail. Now they're going to start doing door-to-door. So they're going to do 1 day next week, I believe. So I'm going to be sending out letters to
So,
the
so
subdivision.
tell us with that survey, what are they trying to figure out with that?
We're trying to capture the low to moderate income range for
Okay.
the subdivision. We did do an LMI survey, and USDA at the time had indicated, last summer we went to it's called a SCAG meeting, and it's basically all the funding groups get together and we present our project. And when we presented our project, USDA at that time, Rural Development, had indicated that we needed a third-party source to do the MHI survey, and if we approved the method, or they approved it, then we could use that not just to submit to them for funding, but also that information collected from that can be used to calculate the low to moderate income survey, and that is what we need to get grant money.
Mm.
And that'll directly help the residents.
How many homes are we talking about over there?
114.
114. And
And the average home cost is about how much there?
We did an average home sale review, and it was around, the sales alone were between 90 to 110,000 were the average sales, and that was last year when we did the review.
isn't it true that, there was quite a few homes that were somewhat, forced to update their systems?
Yeah, we did do an analysis, and I don't have the exact breakdown, but the EPA has orders that everyone is to be tied in by, I believe it's April of 2020. Once we have the PTI, which is the permit to install submitted to the EPA, and we have construction, we're sure that they'll extend that deadline, and they won't be as hard if we start doing connections within a time frame that they're agreeable to.
But there was people potentially who have put in brand-new septic systems,
Mhm.
let's say within the last 5
I
years.
know they did, and we
And now they're
tried.
being told they're gonna have to pay another
Right.
$6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month.
And that was what we tried to work out with the EPA when we were going through the negotiations with the findings and orders with them at the time. We tried to
Mhm.
work out if we could have the deferral of those homeowners that had systems that were 5 years and younger in, and they were of the thinking that everyone needs to tie in.
So potentially the grant money, let's say it's $1 million,
Mhm.
that would be
We would like
dispersed.
that.
Yeah, but if that,
Yeah.
so that would be dispersed between these 114 homes?
It would, and that would be
Okay.
directly to assist them so that the assessments, that we wouldn't have as much
I
assessment
see.
value back on
Try and
them.
knock that down a little
Right,
bit, yeah.
so we are looking, we already have the loan, the loan amount of 700,000, but we're gonna be searching for more loan money from WPCLF.
So
is
so what's the
another
total
one.
cost to build the sewer system?
Right now, we have it estimated at 3.3.
3 million?
And geographically, how big of an area is it? Like encompasses about how many acres?
I didn't do the acreage calculation, but it's the corner of north of Swing, west of Auburn, south of 6, and it doesn't include the Wilders Mobile Home Park. So it stops at where Henning Drive comes in, and there's like a series of streets.
Okay,
So I think most of those lots are at an acre or less. So
I
if
see.
You said the average home value is how much?
it was between 90 to 110, 111.
Mhm.
But
So-
that's changed since the orders.
So the EPA forced this in,
They did.
okay, and so that's gonna be about 30,000 per home
That's what
to
we're
get, to
estimating.
get it installed, and they're paying how much?
Well, it would be the 30,000. We don't have, I think
So
just the
each
base sewer
homeowner's
rate would
gonna
be
have to
over.
pick up the
Yeah.
cost on the entire thing, although.
But we
we're-
have a loan. It just depends on how much we get in loan and how much we get in grant. But that's the worst case scenario was the
Mhm.
30,000.
So the taxpayers are gonna have to float the boat, or, I'm sorry, not taxpayers, in this case the homeowners.
Yeah.
Are gonna have to put a $30,000 price tag on top of their $90,000 home, so
I
a
know.
third of the home.
And
That
that's what our
seems-
argument
seems
has
And this
been.
is, this
so.
is something everyone should take note, because this is just one example of
Yeah.
potentially what could be happening all over this county.
It
We
is.
have other clusters that the
Yeah.
EPA is just waiting in the wings for them to fall on their face.
And that's why when, we would hope to work jointly with the health department, so he's, like what we did up in Thompson, we kind of stay ahead
Mhm.
of that before the orders come, because once the orders come, there's really
so,
hardly any negotiation that can be done.
so Laura, based on your experience, I mean, obviously you used to do this on the EPA level also.
Mhm.
Like, if these homes were, if there would have been more, like, let's say they would have been 3-acre lots,
Yeah.
minimum as far as like zoning standards would have been, say, do you think that we would have had this problem?
Given the size of the acreage, if, I was involved with one of these that wasn't in Geauga County prior, and if the health department would have worked with the homeowners directly, because up until now, I think when the replacements were going through, they were just failing, and then the replacements were going in. So I guess the EPA probably would have worked more if it was a larger size lot.
Larger size
I think
parcels,
they
right.
would have, and it was
Mhm.
the size of the lots, because you use up most of your available property.
Sure.
And there's no real place for a replacement. And I think the problem was that this subdivision was originally planned to be part of a wastewater treatment plant. It was
Right.
planned to have sewers. So when you have smaller sized lots, you run into that. There's no available land left for
You know,
a
like,
replacement septic
I'm just
system.
thinking Kiwanis Lake over there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's,
Restful Lake, Little
Yeah,
Gunderson.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, these are all
oh, yeah.
Well,
potential.
the sad thing is, it's 30,000 out of their pocket, low-income folks probably,
Right.
and they'll never get this money back. It's 30,000 right off the top of anything.
And I think that's why we've been working so hard at trying to obtain funding and get some grant
Right.
money.
Trying to
And that's
help.
why we decided to do this additional income
Because people
survey.
simply just can't afford, I mean, I don't know
No.
who you are can afford
Right.
that, right?
I
mean,
know.
Yeah,
And given
I
the
was
price
trying
of
to bring up the map,
the
this
house
is the
sales.
overview of
Yeah.
that area.
we don't
Yeah.
think we don't think it's fair, so we've been trying to work really hard.
let me ask you, there was a discussion, I don't know the details, but there was potential, with the Legend Lake Golf Course right there,
Yes,
and the developer was gonna, maybe offer or help, put the sewer or line in there.
the plant,
The
sewer
plant?
plant, yeah. We did have a meeting with them last week for just the parcel that we would have our sewer plant on. And right now, it looks like they're agreeable to that, so we just have to get an appraisal of that property and
But
start
they,
the process.
they weren't willing to help pay for any of the costs that associated with that, or?
Not really, because of it depends on how the property sale and the transaction goes. So I
Okay.
don't think there was anything with that. And
But
we
any
weren't
future
offering-
building, I guess,
I
they'd
think-
be responsible for.
I think they were looking to.
So buying capacity in the plant?
They were looking at the possibility of doing a pay forward on the tie-ins.
Oh,
So
okay.
that there was X
Yeah.
number of
Okay.
tie-ins that they would basically bring that to the table ahead of time
Right.
in order to offset some of the costs.
And I think their
Okay.
development, the proposal of what they were thinking, they decided not to do that.
Okay.
That was what our meeting last week kind
I
of
see.
resulted in. So we were back to
And,
square one.
and I guess
So
the
that's-
only other thing that I would ask is that, there was rumors circling around, and I don't know how true it was, is that there was a possibility that there was a developer that was looking at the potential of going in to actually do like a massive purchase. Is that,
Ah,
you know?
I haven't heard
Okay,
of that. A developer for that area?
yeah,
Or-
that would
okay.
basically, pretty much
Repurpose
repurpose
everything.
into larger acreage and stuff, and
No one's contacted
Okay.
me regarding that, so unless somebody was
In that
discussing it as a
scenario-
possibility.
if they did that, would they still have to do the sewers, or could that be something that,
Well, we're running short on time,
I see?
so if that was something that they wanted to propose to do, we would have to present that to the EPA in enough time to effectively eliminate, because their big concern is we need to eliminate the source of contamination, which to them is the household discharging systems that aren't functioning or, that could be questionably functioning.
So are there still a lot of failures in that neighborhood?
We
Or-
did some sampling of the creek, I want to say a year and a half ago, and the levels were still that high. So it's not, I know there was some question if it was just due to high rains or there was a slug load of something that came through. And we did a resampling just to show that there was, just for us to see as well, and the levels were just as high as they were when the EPA sampled, I think in 2014. So that was a
But there's
couple
been
years after.
quite a few that have updated though, too, right? Correct?
I don't think it was over the 50%.
Okay,
So
okay.
it was, Dave, you probably saw it, I think it was more like 20%.
Yeah.
And Jerry had gone through and we did a spreadsheet for it, but I don't have those numbers.
I mean, generally, the houses that sold during the period of time when for
Right.
sale of property, they were required to do it.
And
Right.
we've come into a situation right now, I mean, we get contacted by realtors and
They
we're.
can't even sell the homes.
Right.
That's the
So
problem.
Are there
It
any
is a
on-lot
problem.
system? I mean, some of the folks upgraded already.
Some
So-
of them did, and the remainder are a combination of on-lot systems and discharging filter
You
beds,
can't even
which
get out
is
of there.
just
You can't sell
a
your
tank
home.
that's in the ground and it's
Right.
layered with gravel and it
It
just
is, it's a
kind
real
of.
But from an on-lot system, the ones that upgraded, are they
House
working?
just goes.
So is it necessary for them to be on a sewer? Due to
Right,
the
we tried to
EPA
argue
rules?
with the EPA on that, and they said no, NPDS, because those ones are on EPA, NPDS permitted discharges,
Right.
the ones that have the home lot discharges.
We need,
So the EPA
Yeah.
indicated that they would not allow any NPDS
Turn on
permitted
that.
discharges in
Yeah.
that subdivision.
And
They
the
don't-
logic was, if they're working, they're working.
We tried to
What's
argue
their
that as
logic?
well. Their logic is they don't want any on-lot sort of discharging systems. It has to be a centralized sewer system. So we tried to get a deferral date.
So logic doesn't really care, they don't care about logic.
No, we just didn't order.
Right.
Well, because the percentage to failure for those systems, there's still a percentage to fail for the discharging systems if they don't maintain them properly and don't have the annual inspection done and the annual sample done, because I don't know who's enforcing those rules and regulations.
Have
but
they
there
ever
are-
seen the discharge from the Cleveland sewer system?
We don't talk
Or
about
does the
sewer
magnitude?
districts. Yeah, they have special rules. It seems like
Yeah.
they have a lot
Apparently,
of.
they're not
I know.
focused on the bigger issue.
I know, and we've tried that, and we did attempt to make this so that it wasn't penalizing everyone, and we could maybe give them a little bit more of a deferral date, so that maybe we could put another 5 to 10 years on for the ones that had newer systems and they weren't
Mm-hmm.
agreeable to that. So we did try,
Hmm.
very hard.
That sounds
I know you
good.
guys have been trying your best to
We have been to get more
to
funding.
do stuff, yeah. It's just
And
tough.
we have another application going in the next 2 weeks to DEFA, which is the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund. We, in the past, have usually gotten loans from them. They usually don't give 0% interest or principal forgiveness on those. So we're hoping that because this is an order and it's for a public health nuisance area, that maybe they release a little bit more
Right.
for this project.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. I wish it was a different scenario.
Yeah. But it's like Tim said, those people are kind of really stuck in
I
that
know.
because they can't really sell, they can't do.
And
No,
that's
this is
been
gonna
our.
make it worse for them,
Oh,
because they're gonna be
Right.
belly up on it.
But they already know that this is coming, and that's why it's made it difficult, is that we know that they all know, and we
Yeah.
get contacted by realtors all the time, and,
I mean, you're somewhat trapped, you know, if
We
you're
are.
trying to get out of there, out of your, if you wanted to get out of your current situation, put your house for sale, you're gonna take a huge loss because everybody knows this is coming, right?
Right.
I mean, so,
Yeah.
and you, the other hand is you can't afford the update, a lot of them,
Right, and we've made the argument that a lot of the homeowners in that subdivision are, either retired or they're on a
Mhm.
fixed income of some sort. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't seem, we've always made the argument, it doesn't seem fair.
But it'd be
It's not.
interesting to see how this plays out, because financially, and I don't know what the financial condition is of the folks that are there, they may be better off just to walk away. And then that falls in the lap of
I know.
who? The government, the EPA.
Yeah, but how do you walk away from, you know, your investment is your home, you know,
No.
you can't,
And our hope is to get, I mean, usually there's some funding that we can get right at the end, the tail end of the project, and we may still be able to obtain assistance for the connections, like we were able to obtain in Thompson,
Thompson,
for
yeah.
the individual connections, to help the homeowners out with that. But our main concern is that we don't have to assess as much as we estimated we have to right now.
Hmm.
So that's why we keep doing the income surveys and resubmitting applications. So, and CT Consultants has been very helpful in kind of guiding us through some of the funding sources, because we keep getting mixed answers from the federal government as to what funding is available and what we could apply for. So we just keep applying for it.
Right.
And it seems like we're getting mixed information. So I don't know if there's any federal funding that's gonna be opened up soon, but we've been told that they're tightening down the hatches there, so.
I
Not
mean,
sure.
I'm sure this isn't unique, the first time this has ever happened, I would assume they should be able to help guide us through this, right, you would think, right?
The federal?
Yeah,
Well,
you'd
we had
think.
discussions
But
with the EPA, and their stance is that,
You're on your own?
yes,
Tough luck.
Huh.
yes. And we
Right.
tried to make the argument about that this is a cluster within a
What happens if we
township.
don't do anything?
I'm glad they're not running ice, that's all I gotta say.
What happens if they didn't do anything? Would they just fine,
We would be fined, the county would be fined as a whole.
Yeah.
And it would go directly to the Attorney General's office. So
Okay.
our hope is that once we get a plan formulated and if we get the property, we can actually finish the engineering design of the plant and then get a PTI put together and start the negotiation to extend our timeline.
and our
Once we get
prosecutor's
that-
office has been partner with this and reviewing this every
They
step
have.
of the way?
Yeah, she's just waiting for us, I think, to get to a point where we submit the PTI to the EPA and then we can start negotiating, because it's hard for us to negotiate when they look at what we've done and they don't, in their viewpoint, we haven't done very much because we're still trying to find funding.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a difficult thing to find funding right now, it seems like.
Absolutely.
So I think once we get the PTI submitted, which, once we get the property finalized and we can finish the survey, get all the elevations, then we can place the plant and figure out if we do need a pump station. If we don't, then the engineering will be finished. We can submit the PTI, and then we have a leg to stand on for negotiations to extend some of the timelines. Because before we submit anything, the EPA, I know they won't negotiate on timelines.
I see.
Yeah.
It's a quandary for sure.
Yeah, we're not really pleased to be in this
No.
situation, so.
Well, thank you. If there's anything we can do to help
For sure.
assist you in that.
Yeah.
So we have a motion.
Second,
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
yes.
Yes.
Any questions on the dam?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, do we want to talk about that now, or how do we want to?
Well, I mean, you can, it's just, there's, so we've gotten an order from ODNR that dam has to be breached here
Right.
within the next month or so.
They want the construction to be finalized by the end of August, so August 27th.
Burton Lakes.
Complete the construction. And I did contact an engineer yesterday to obtain outside services, and we're getting some information back and forth. It's just, when you do anything with a dam, there's a little bit more engineering that's involved than just the site work. You have to do some studies to make sure that there's no headwater or downstream impacts. So that's what we're trying to delineate with the contract with the engineer, exactly what's required. So I am in contact with the prosecutor's office to determine if we can get an extension on some of these timelines, because we literally, I just got it on Friday, and they wanted us to have services retained by yesterday.
And so are we using our engineer, or are we going outside?
Well, originally, we can probably do most of this, the response, but with us internally, but to actually perform the engineering services, we don't have the capability of doing downstream studies. That's
Okay.
a hydrologist, and we don't have one of those on
Okay.
staff. That's outside of our level of.
So I guess the big concern is this, is that, and I know where this is at, but I've never gone really behind like these homes and stuff that would be impacted as far as like, do they actually have, lakes behind their house, or what is the, so at the end of the day, this dam goes down, and what do we have back there?
Well, that's what we're trying to determine, if there's any risk of floods, and how we would go about it. Do they just want us to lower it and still keep somewhat of a structure there, or can we completely breach it and do away with it, and then what impact would that be? So we can't just make a decision
Right.
and go with it. We have to do some studies, and that, I don't see how we would get that done by
No,
August.
I don't see it
And constructed by
either.
August 27th without doing it properly.
Yeah, it would be totally irresponsible with
Right.
major risk.
So I'm surprised that it was that fast.
Yeah. So, but like as far as the impact on some of these people, I mean, are they gonna totally lose the landscape of some of the aesthetics of their home, as far as like losing?
That's what our goal is, to not have that, is to not have that happen. So that's why I think some of the questions that the engineer had for me, and I can pull them up now.
Because I mean, this is a big deal. you
Yeah,
know?
it is.
It's
I know.
it's a huge deal, and
Do we want to kind of explain for the audience what we're talking about here?
you can if you'd like to.
I'm just so everybody knows what we're talking about. So on Snow Road it's actually here, the southern,
Yeah, the southern of Burton.
it's actually into the very southwest corner of Burton Township. So you got Route 44 going out of Newberry, and you got Snow Road heading east, and right at the end of that area, there's Burton Lakes. And there's a small water treatment plant that takes care of the homes in that area. And on the property of the water treatment plant is the dam that was put up probably by the developer of this little development back in the late 50s where it was built. So he dammed up the stream that was there and made this nice little lake for the enjoyment of the people in that area. And for whatever reason, over time, the land where that dam was made part of the parcel where the county-owned sewer plant is. But the Department of Natural Resources that regulates dams has said, there's issues with this dam. It either has to be substantially upgraded, which I understand would be in the millions, or it has to be taken down because it could represent hazard downstream if it ever was breached. So, unfortunately for the people who live in that area, especially the ones whose properties maybe have the lake right behind them, it's going to eventually, kind of like Kenston Lakes in Bay Bridge
Yeah.
happened a number of years ago, the same kind of thing, where the lake has to go away because it's not cost effective to maintain the dam.
Right. So that's where we're at, and we may need Army Corps of Engineers. We're probably most likely gonna need the US Army Corps of Engineers permit on this, so that alone.
This is the water treatment plant, there's the dam right here.
So we're gonna need an extension on this, it just seems unrealistic.
No, that's the deal. Keep going, Snow Road.
This is Snow Road here.
And so some of the things that we were looking at is, do we just need to lower the dam so it doesn't qualify as a
Oh, I
dam,
see.
but they can keep somewhat of a lake structure there so that we don't go under the jurisdiction of ODNR any longer? It's not really a risk to downstream properties
Yeah, it's
anymore.
I mean,
Or do we have to
so-
eliminate it completely?
So what do you need from, do you need approval for, to move forward with this?
I don't know, we didn't put it on the session, we just got it
Oh,
on
okay.
Friday.
Yeah, but it was up
I guess
to,
we're
the-
just
to
talking.
discuss it
Yeah.
because we.
Well, I'd get some more information on it.
Yeah, we're trying to get more information from Hess, and that was the engineer that had done the original review for us. We were just thinking of maybe doing a continuation of contract services with them. And that might be easiest to fasten the pace of getting a contract together, since we
Okay.
have such a short timeline. And I am working with the prosecutor's office to maybe contact ODNR today or tomorrow, or, to get an extension on this timeline, because this just seems, I mean, by
Quick.
next week, Monday, they want a schedule, and it's hard to put together a schedule, and we're not 100% sure what permitting is required to do this work.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your efforts on that, and it's,
Yeah, Friday the 13th, it was like at the
Yeah.
end of the workday too, I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go in there with a drill.
Yeah.
Jerry, because we're on vacation.
And Jerry's on vacation too, I just wanted, I said, I don't wanna ruin your vacation, but this just came in, and we knew, because we knew, I think it was a week and a half ago, or at the end of June, when we started getting some problems out there, and so we did some preliminary work, but then ODNR did a couple of follow-up site evaluations, and we kind of expected something, we just didn't expect this tight of a time frame. We knew we were gonna have to do something though.
Okay.
Are they gonna have a little fish rodeo and take the fish out?
I don't know.
I'm a little concerned about the fish.
I know. Well, we would hope
Yeah, that's it.
to be able to do this so it's not, because when the Kenston Lakes Dam was taken out, we're trying to figure this out and what exactly they want this to look like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the study had been done a couple of years ago about, okay, what would it take to maintain the dam?
Yeah.
Because the idea was going to be to go to the residents in the area and say, look, we can put an assessment, your customers are water resources.
Right.
This is not something the taxpayers of the county
Watershed there. This is-
should be subsidizing. This
Right.
is your area. And if you want to keep this lake, this is what's going to cost. And I think the original time, they thought it might be inexpensive enough that the residents in the area
Yeah.
might say, hey, yeah, we like to keep lake, we will pay an assessment on our sewer bill or something to maintain this lake. But the estimate ended up being so expensive that I don't think
Right.
anybody in their right mind would say,
I think,
geez.
yeah, the original of what we were gonna be doing to it was very expensive, and so now we're at this point where they want us to do something and to bring it up to the original level. So we are just trying to figure out exactly what this is gonna look like and if it's gonna be acceptable to them. We may submit it and they may say, no, we want the whole thing either gone or the whole thing brought up, so.
Okay.
We
Okay.
just don't know, because like I said, I just got that on Friday, so. But we do have it started, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay. 14 is,
Okay, now this is a follow-up to the discussion we had with Richard L. Bowen. And following that discussion, Jerry really ran point on this to get the final contract document to a point that was acceptable to the prosecutor's office as your legal advisor and also the Bowen folks. So what you have in front of you to look at is the final contract with the revised estimate to do the work. Total is not to exceed $67,000, but there's provision in there that if, as we move forward in this process, at some point you feel that the information is indicating that maybe we shouldn't complete this whole thing, you can stop early, or you can keep going with the whole project.
Do we have a copy of that?
Did
Did you send us a copy?
Yeah, I think.
I brought,
57.
it was included in,
Mhm.
in the agenda documents, yes.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So do we
I
have
was
You wanna read that?
So is
Motion.
it, is each section then flexible, or is it adaptable, so we?
Well, it's adaptable, but they're going to, start through the process as it was laid out in that proposal. and
Which is
then-
considered Exhibit A
Yeah.
in the agreement.
And if for some reason, it appears that the board wants to see some modification or wants to see it terminated early, you have the power to do that.
But the question is that the dollar amounts are not to exceed amounts.
Correct.
They're not a fixed amount.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yep.
That's the only thing I was interested in.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
So,
Second.
Commissioner Claypool?
yep.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Right. And we've got Dave Favorite, he's asking for 60 hours of unpaid personal leave.
He's here if you have any
Oh.
questions.
That's actually Dave asking.
Yeah,
Dave.
I'm asking for Dave.
Okay.
Because as a new employee, you don't accrue any vacation all in the first year. So if you had things set up, planned absences, it has
Sure.
to be, you guys have to approve that as something that they do without pay.
It's
Okay.
only taken us 6 months.
So do you want 60 hours or 60 days?
That's an extended sentence.
Yeah. Did you buy a camper?
60 days.
All right,
My
so
wife won't have that.
do we have a motion for that?
Second.
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Spudler?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You
And,
need to sign where the yellow stickers are
okay,
at the top for your use, and then we're asking you to
Okay.
sign off on all of it.
all right. So do you want to read number 16 then,
This is actually 17.
or 17, yep?
16 is the Commissioner's Office is requesting the board appoint Ralph Spitaleri, alternate Gerard Morgan, and Timothy St. Levin, alternate Shane Hajar, to the Ohio Public Works Integrating Committee, District 7, for a 3-year term, July 21st, 2018 through July 20th, 2021.
So,
Second.
Commissioner Claypool? Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Aye.
And then the Commissioner's Office is requesting the board approve and authorize the President of the Board to execute the revised application for authorization to permit the use of county credit cards per ORC 301.27 for a Geauga credit union visa not to exceed $4,000 per month, including Walter Claypool, Ralph Spitaleri, Tim Lennon, David Blair, Jerry Morgan, Adrian Gordon, Kathy Costello, Christine Blair, Deborah Ashburn, and Kelly Goodlack.
so moved.
Second.
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spitaleri?
Hey,
We had to do this to add Jerry and Linda off, and then we had to update all of the title changes that had occurred in the office. And then Glenn is here for the next one.
Glenn is here.
Which is a little different.
Well, I don't sign this one.
Yes, you have to sign at the top.
Oh, wait, okay.
Next to your name for use.
okay, Glenn.
Morning.
How are you?
All right, buddy.
Peachy and yourself.
Good, good.
Good, good. Every time I see you, it gets better.
Oh, yeah. At least the sun's coming out.
So do you want to explain?
This is just to add Nathan. Nathan's going to Texas to that school.
Right.
To your credit card, so he can use the county credit card. That avoids, so we can get the plane tickets and the hotels without all the taxes and everything on it.
Okay.
And this
Very
is
good.
just during that period that he would be authorized to use that.
Okay.
Instead of us going out and getting another county credit card.
It's a lot easier.
I've been here 12 years and this is the first time,
Yeah.
maybe the second
We
time.
don't travel a lot
We
around.
could have done it. So
Right.
just saves on opening up another credit card and everything we share.
Sounds good.
So,
Okay, if we could do a read on that one.
The Maintenance Department is requesting the board approve and authorize Nathan Munn, maintenance worker, to use the Commissioner's Office credit card, a Geauga Credit Union Visa, for all expenses related to the training at Southern Folger Technical Center in San Antonio, Texas, during the period of August 13 through 17, 2018, and further approve and authorize the president of the board to execute the application for authorization to permit the use of credit card form for ORC 301.27.
So, second?
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
Hey.
Because if he uses his own credit card, then the taxes get put on it and everything. And that's one of the main uses of the ways, so it puts it on the account.
Okay, fair enough, thank you. And then for number 19,
The Commissioner's Office is requesting the board reappoint Jeff Klein to the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board for a 4-year term ending June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Claypool?
Yep.
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Spudler?
I'd just like to make a comment about the mental health board. We do have seats that have perpetually been open there, and we've tried, we've advertised, I don't know where else to search, other than just throwing a dart at the phone book here to see if anyone else wants to do this. But this seems like a hard one to get board members appointed, so I would just make a plea to anybody that's interested or may know somebody that may be interested in doing that to, contact us, because I think we have, three spots, and it's been open for a long time there.
Yeah, one of them, just, the last one, just these, Jeff and Brian's were just expired at the end of June. So that added the third one on. So,
Okay.
sounds good.
he is not going, so we can cancel next week. So.
Okay, so they get a laptop.
We will.
Put all that important shit on there, because I want it done when I get back, so.
For the meetings, we're gonna have a meeting on 7/18, Geauga Trumbull Solid Waste Meeting, 9 a.m. at the district office. Is that the meeting with all the,
Yes.
so, and you guys were able to advertise some of that too, if people wanted to be
Yes,
there?
it's been pretty widely advertised.
Okay.
We communicated with the trustees association, both counties. All the cities have been invited. Jeff, I'm gonna talk to you after this meeting. Mr. Smock, I wanna talk to you after this meeting, if you don't mind. And so, it's been pretty widely covered. We're gonna have about 30 to 40 people there. The press has been invited. EPA's gonna be there. All the waste haulers are gonna be there. A variety of representatives from various townships are gonna be there, so.
Jeff, are you guys doing a recycling program in the city now?
We're in the process of looking at a single citywide hauler,
Okay, that would be able to do
which
both.
could include recycle.
But you don't actually have bin sites right now?
No, not the city.
Lori, do you have a bin site in Bainbridge? Where's your, in your,
It's
that's,
right outside of our service department.
okay. Do you have issues where people are putting with a lot of contaminations there?
Yeah, we do. It's grown increasingly worse in the summer months. And I'll tell you, one of the things we found is the last hauler had longer roll-off bins with metal bars.
Yeah.
And it was a whole lot better because people just couldn't put many of the contaminated items in when there was that kind of restriction. The bins we have now are really not conducive to a good recycling system. So we're
Yeah.
working on it as well. Christina O'Brien, as the township representative to the Solid Waste Management District Policy Committee, made the announcement at our Township Association meeting last week. So I'm hopeful that there will be a really good turnout tomorrow. But yeah, it's a problem. We've actually talked now about taking a picture of the worst contamination product and issuing, and shaming people, and I hate to say it that way, but, this is the, shame on you, major contaminator of the week.
Sure.
And it's unfortunate, but several years ago in Bainbridge, we were very fortunate. We had a problem at that time, and we put together a recycling committee that was absolutely fabulous. We had, employees and waste management representatives, citizens. It was terrific, and it worked very well for a while. But again, we were fortunate in having a hauler that enabled the process to work, I think, much better than it does now.
Okay. Yeah, because we're pretty much across the board. It's every township is dealing with this problem.
Well, then we have it here at 470. 'Cause
Right.
We have a nice recycling site here, and it's grown, and we have issues with it all the time.
And there's an expense because we're basically babysitting now out there.
Well, that's the problem, there is no babysitting.
Right.
I mean, my take on it is we have way too many of these things that are unsupervised 24/7.
Yeah.
I think they need to shrink this down to either one or two and then grow out from there, you know, and they gotta be supervised. You gotta have hours of operation, or you're just gonna have people throwing garbage there. You know, people wanna recycle, but there's a segment that are gonna take advantage of nobody watching the store. They're just gonna come in there and dump their garbage and,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, so that's
it
just
is.
my take on it. But
And you know the thing too that's constantly been coming up is that 90% of the recycling ends up in the landfill anyways.
Correct.
So it's almost like we've had a real issue in Munson behind their township hall there, and we got so many calls on that. It's been a mess, you know, to try to deal with it. And, I know I agree with what Tim is saying. Like basically one thing that you got to be checked in and checked out if that's something that they want to do, because this is really becoming a nuisance for residents in the sense of just
like the honor system isn't working.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Well, and part of the problem is we've been educating people for years to recycle. If you look at the EPA's website, it lists all these things you can recycle: glass, plastic. It doesn't differentiate plastic. And so people are doing what we asked them to do. They're recycling. Now, some people are irresponsible. They don't know that they're not supposed to put their stuff in plastic bags. The haulers don't like the plastic bags. The plastic bags are very recyclable, but the haulers don't like them. And so part of what we're going to talk about tomorrow is we're going to have an interesting game, because we're going to put all kinds of stuff on a table and say what's recyclable here and what's not. 90% of what's going to be on that table is going to be recyclable. The problem is that the haulers don't like it because their equipment's not set up to handle it. Okay, as a district, we're responsible for getting as much out of the landfill as we can. So if the haulers don't want to do it, is there a way we can do it? And so we're going to have to re-educate, re-message to people. And I don't know whether you pay attention to the news on this or not. Because of this situation, I've been paying attention to the news. China has shut down the recycling market. So China is causing us to choke on all the stuff we used to send them because they don't want it anymore. The interesting thing is, part of this is I reached out to Giant Eagle yesterday. Giant Eagle does plastic bag recycling. They're willing to partner with us. Nobody's ever talked to them before. And they are great at recycling. They do all these bags. They have boxes at every store that you can take plastic bags and put them into their containers. There's a company in Tennessee that would take every bit of plastic that we can send them, any kind of plastic, and they will pay for the shipping. Nobody's ever called them and talked to them. And so there's ways to improve this whole process. We have just got to get better at figuring out the right formula and communicating to people. And that's part of what this discussion is tomorrow, is the haulers. They're set up to and by the way, they created their own nightmare when they went from a divided recycling materials. We used to put glass, plastic,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and we were good with that. I was good with that. Okay, I'm smart. I can put my glass in one. Now they said, I'll put it all together. And now we put it all together, and they don't like it because it creates problems for them. They have to sort it out again. So it gets complicated, but if we get a big enough group together tomorrow, we can improve things. We certainly got to clean up the Munson site and a lot of these sites which create a real nightmare for our townships. And that's part of the discussion we're going to have tomorrow. Lori, you coming?
It depends. One of us will be there. Somebody.
Well, Lori can't, Christina can't be there, unfortunately.
Christina
But
cannot be there, right. Our service director is planning on being there. If he can't be there, I'm number 3 on the list.
so we're going to have some fun. There's going to be some prizes handed out. Who knew? At the
Recycle.
Waste Management District. Just recycling stuff.
You
Okay,
have to
I
adopt
get it.
some trash.
Can I share a fun little quip? We've also been trying to educate our residents as well. You know, we put articles in the newspaper, the Spirit of Bainbridge, we rotate authorship. And all of us as trustees have, really worked to educate our families and our friends and everybody. Our fiscal officer did a great job. She said to her 2 teenage sons, guys, we used to just put all of our recycles into a garbage bag, into a big plastic bag, and then we take them up, we put the whole bag into the bin. Can't do that. I didn't know, you didn't know, can't do that. So last week, her boys took the recycles up to the recycle center, And she said, okay, guys, what did you do? They were in the plastic bag. They said, Mom, we did exactly what you told us to do. We dumped all of the materials out of the plastic bag into the bin. And she said, what did you do with the bag? And they said, we threw that in after.
Threw it in the bin. That's right. It is silly. I mean, it's like, you know, what do you want? You want me to stand on my head while I'm doing this? And,
Yeah.
you know,
It is goofy.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean,
you know.
it feels like, and I've been to these sorting, you know, for waste management, these big facilities, they have this machine where you throw it all in and it spits out the other end, plastic, paper, glass, whatever else, you know. So I mean, I don't know if we're dealing with a company or a hauler that doesn't have that capability, and they want us to do the work for them now, or
Well,
what?
You know, here's the frustrating, I just had a
Yeah.
conversation, I'm sorry for continuing on this, I have a little bit of a passion about this. So these things called MRFs. MRFs are where they take everything and they dump it on a big conveyor, and the conveyor sorts it out. It's really cool to watch. If you ever go there, who knew sorting garbage would be fun to watch? You know, they have a vacuum that sucks bags out, the bags they have. They got a magnet that sucks the steel out. They got little electric eyes that see the plastic bottles, and they shoot air at the plastic bottles, and it knocks the plastic bottle off of the conveyor system. So it's actually pretty cool to watch all that kind of stuff. And they do that because of the cost of trucking. The reason that we went from a divided system into a single stream system is because they didn't want to send out multiple trucks. They wanted to send one truck, and they figured they'd handle it at the back end. Interesting thing, waste management, they do curbside. So you're gonna go to one hauler, right, Jeff?
Yes.
Well, guess what? That one hauler has one motivation, that is to fill the landfill. I talked to Waste Management ad nauseum the other day, hour and a half. And their motivation, because they've got a big landfill, is they get money every time somebody puts stuff into the landfill. They don't want to recycle. If I talk to them about 3 to 7 plastics, which are very recyclable plastics, they're not motivated to recycle those. They want to take them to the landfill. So we pay them to recycle them. They put them through their process, and then they take them to the landfill. Is that not crazy, or what? Number 5 plastic, which is a polyethylene, high-density polyethylene, who knew that I would even know what these terminology happens to be, is one of the most recyclable plastics that there are. They won't even take them. We're going to talk about that a little bit tomorrow. And so the waste haulers, and this is and by the way, in curbside, they will only take 1 container. I've got 2 containers a week flowing through my 2-person home because I had to order a lot of Amazon. Amazon, everything comes in a cardboard box, and it's got plastic in it, you know, surrounding and all that kind of stuff. And so you got to keep the economy going, so you got to buy stuff, but when you buy stuff, it comes to your house, and then you got to deal with all the packaging and all that. And so this curbside, or the one hauler that some communities are going to, it's not going to satisfy it, so people have to take that excess overflow someplace. What are they going to do with it? They're going to dump it in a ditch, they're going to dump it in the landfill. We're circumventing our objective as a district, and that is to keep everything out of the landfill. And so it's really goofy. We're going to talk about a lot of that. That's true. So, anyway.
If you shop local, then you don't have to. Right?
Wait, you de-box everything, Ralph, when I buy something at your store, is that out of the box?
I mean, if you buy a cup, you just get the
I
cup and walk out with it.
I put a Smith & Wesson and a Ruger box in the cardboard the other day because of all that.
All right.
So other than that, anything else? Nothing else.
Hopefully we have a good turnout.
All right.
The Help Me Learn Day, how are we doing on, have we gotten any,
Well, I had shared with you, I haven't received anything here in the office yet, but I had shared with all of you the email that I got from Judge Paschke. They're doing the Christmas and July promotion in their office to collect stuff, and then they're going to partner with us and JFS to get them.
Oh, good.
Nice.
We need to put a deadline in here. Once we put a deadline, I get my.
We do, it's August 9th.
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
That's great. Okay. Other than that, any questions, comments?
Motion to adjourn.